Hi, my name is Matteo and this is my VR lap at Zandvoort. So let's check the lap now and we'll talk about it later. And this was 120.723. It wasn't the fastest lap ever, it can be improved, so this might be a challenge for you guys to try to improve this lap. It was clean enough so that I could use this as a reference to show you to teach the truck. Okay, now technical data here, technical part, partly cloudy, 19 degrees, the truck 21 degrees. It was just a testing session, pretty much default. I just pushed the test drive button from the practice session. Then we're back here. Alright, so too much, hey. Okay, here. So I was saying, welcome to a real Formula One truck, when men used to race rather than millionaires. Rockets fired. Alright, so let's take one thing out of the discussion right now. The truck is bumpy. So not as bumpy as Belial, not really, but still as bumpy as this car can really bear. So for this kind of car that doesn't really like the disconnected track conditions, it doesn't like curbs. Basically, having a truck this bumpy and cambered and all twisted, it might be a problem. So I had to modify my baseline setup just a little bit to soften the springs all around. And as you know me, you will know that I hate soft cars, but it was really necessary. So alright, a few general tips about the race. This track is all about survival. There are very few overtake places here, so the best strategy actually is just to sit and wait for your opponent to make a mistake. This sounds kind of cynical and opportunistic, but it is the truth. People will probably make a mistake here, especially if you sit behind them and kind of put pressure on them. I mean, clean pressure, like showing up in the mirrors, driving very close to them. If you get them distracted enough and focus them on you rather than the truck, they will probably make a mistake. This also means that you can make a mistake as well, so still be careful and just play the sitting game. And also having a consistent pace with this track car combination basically means that you haven't crashed out yet. That's it. So don't be greedy and try to pace your laps under your possibilities, because crashing is still a real possibility here. So I know this is another kind of weird suggestion, but not to tell you to not go to not try to go to the limit, but you don't get points for making the fastest lap of the race. You just don't. you take points for bringing the car home. So just do it. Just take the car home. Drive under your possibilities. Maybe with time and a lot of races, you will grow in confidence and you will be able to get closer and closer to your limit. But don't start here thinking like with the other trucks that you can get very fast in very few time. You can be fast, but the thing is you have to be consistent and you have to not to crash out, and you can crash out basically at each turn in this track. So just take it easy and try to get the car home, bring it home, and that's it. Alright, then I want to say one last thing in advance. Sorry, my Dutch friends, for my accent and for my Dutch. I don't know Dutch, of course. I will have to read some Dutch, I suppose, names for the track turns. They will probably sound kind of like Swedish, since I know Swedish. But so sorry, I apologize in advance for it. I'm already butchering English. I don't want butcher the Dutch language as well. All right, so let's start. We got the straight, nothing to report. We're heading towards turn 1, which is called, funnily enough, the Tarzan turn. Tarzan, yeah, as the king of the jungle. The funny story is this was back in 1948, after the war, before the track was built, and Tarzan was this big, thick guy that owned a garden around here in turn 1. Of course, that wasn't his real name. They called him Tarzan because he was big and thick, of course. But the owners of the track that wanted to build the track, they had to buy the lands around here, and this guy had this garden at this turn here. It just didn't want to sell it, like this garden. So in order to convince him, they told him, they kind of bribed him. They told him that they would name the first turn after him. So he got convinced by that, and they had to name this turn after him. I don't know if this is a myth, if this is real or just a legend, but it's it's quite a funny story to tell. All right, let's get back to what we're doing here, and the first turn actually begins here at the braking point. We got this nice line here, which is very helpful, as you can see, and this 50 mark sign here. You just have to find your braking point, which lies between the line and the 50 mark spot, pretty much in the middle. How do you recognize that it's the right braking braking spot? Because you will get to the apex without locking, and you will not miss the apex, so you will get quite close to the curb. Don't use the curb, of course, because it's too tall, especially for this car, but just try to get close. If you see that you get close comfortably, then it's alright. If you see that you get too much on the inside, then you're braking too early. If you see that you're trucking out and you're not hitting the apex, then you're braking too late. So the braking mark here, I will slow it down, hoping that it will not crash like last time, because that was really embarrassing. As you can see, I'm at the apex right here. So the thing is, you go 3 down to 3rd, from 6th gear to 3rd, and then 1 more to 2nd. And this is very important, at least for me, because I found out that getting into 3rd and leaving the car to 3rd, so I'm not just clicking on the downshift button waiting for the RPM protection to unlock. I'm just deliberately leaving the car like this, waiting, cooling down, getting into the apex. It gets in faster, and I've seen in a bit more cleaner way. And then when I get closer to the apex and ready to open the gas again, I go down to 2nd and then open the gas in stages, as I said last week. So there was stage 2. I waited till 75% in stage 2 until the wheel was straight, and then open up everything when the wheel was straight. Of course, this turn here is an attack zone. There aren't many throughout the race. This is one, and it's probably the biggest one. So you will find cars attacking here, and the thing is that sorry, and the thing is that you can see the turn is slightly cambered, so even if they attack you on the outside, they will not be that much slower than you stuck on the inside, because on the inside you will have to keep going in, and it's kind of painful to follow the inside line here, while on the outside they will have the camber track on the side, better view on the exit, a straighter view on the exit, and they can still finish the attack on turn 2 or even turn 3. That happened to me on the Formula Renault 2.0. So this will be your biggest chance at overtake, and their biggest chance at overtaking you. So keep this in mind, and stay sharp on this corner. I suggest you to try the inside and outside lines alone in practice, so you know how much you can push, and you can be safer, and you will not spin out, you will not crash into your opponent, which will be very close to you, etc, etc. So just try both lines. Just stay on the inside and stay on the outside. Next turn 2 is the Gallic Turn, which this is the kink and this is the turn. What I do here is that I wait pretty much, sorry again, can you find, okay, you can see this is the kink. Pretty much here there's the apex of the kink, so between the apex and the end of the curb I find my lift point, which actually varies based on the grip. So I just lift earlier, then the lap later I lift a little bit later, then a little bit later, until I see that I can't keep the car straight in the turn anymore. I don't feel comfortable anymore. So I just lift. I'm actually even slightly brush braking in here to slow down. I'm actually slowing down, and then I open up the gas just a little bit, and this is the important part. You don't have to brake if you don't feel comfortable with it. So if you see that you can take the turn without braking, just do it. It doesn't change much, I've seen. That's just a confidence thing. But this is the important part. What you're doing here, especially if you're like me, you're using 20 drive differential setting, is that is that you're locking up the differential, so the car will start to understeer. Otherwise, if you just lift, you will be in the coast section of the differential, and the car, according to your settings, of course, but I think with this car we pretty much just have one big setting for everybody. So you're oversteering when you're into the coast section. So when you're lifting or braking, you're oversteering, and when you're pushing the throttle even just a little bit, you're locking the differential, so you will get understeer. So what you're doing here is basically you keep on lifting until you get to the apex, and you see that the car is heading into the right direction. And then when you see that the trajectory is right, the line is right, everything is correct, you feel comfortable, you touch the gas a little bit so that of course you can keep a bit more speed. That's always good, but also because the understeer that you're provoking by activating the differential will keep the car, as you can see, will keep the car straight, okay, and stable, so you won't lose it. You won't get too much rotation. So that's why I'm doing it. If you don't have this kind of problem, it's not like you have to do it. It's a mandatory thing to do. You can avoid it, but if you have the problem that when you get into this turn very fast, you're kind of turning a bit too much, you have to correct or whatever, just use a little bit of throttle to lock down the differential. This section anyway, it's not bringing to a big straight or anything. You just have to brake anyway after this, so don't try to be greedy, because putting two wheels out here can mean the end of the race, because the car will spin. I've kissed this wall so many times that God only knows. So don't be greedy, because it's really not necessary to be super fast during turn 2. It's very much more important to get a good exit out of turn 3. So take this into consideration when you're building up your lap. Getting into turn 3, you go 2 down to second gear and try to stay a bit late on the apex, as you can see. And then, as I explained last week, you stage away with the throttle, so you get to stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3. Now I'm basically in stage 2 already. This is stage 2 actually, and this is stage 3. Don't abuse this curb. I'm using this curb now that I'm in advanced third gear. I'm almost high third gear. And I got the wheel almost straight, so the car is straight, and you just have to go straighter. And one big mistake that I was doing when I started researching and studying this track, coming from the Formula Renault 2.0, I was really abusing the outside curb. I was just putting the car all the way over it and trying to accelerate, and I just kept on spinning, because this car doesn't like curbs. So just avoid it. Just avoid the inside curb, of course, because this is too tall. It would just unsettle the car. Avoid the outside curb, and just use it if you really need it. You don't have to actually to use it, but you can use it when you're basically almost already straight. Yeah, that was it. And then we got straight 4 and straight 5, which are Hunsrück and Rob Slotemacher. Rob Slotemacher. Did I say it correctly? This is Rob Slotemacher. The other one was Hunsrück. And then we got to Scheivlach, turn 6. Okay, what I do at this turn is just that I lift, throw the car in, downshift without braking, and then I open the gas completely. My marks are these. So when you start seeing, I have to slow it down. When you start seeing the turn, or alternatively when you see this side road here, this service road, you start lifting there, you see, in the middle of the service road, or when you see the turn, you lift, you downshift, you throw the car in. Don't go over the grass, don't use the curb, there's a curb here, don't use it. This car just hates everything, so just keep the car rolling on the asphalt. Keep the traffic light in sight, and when it's out of sight, you open it up all the way up. Just slam the gas. You're going too fast, you won't lose grip. The risk here is actually to go outside outside of the exit, or otherwise you could touch the curb or the grass on the inside and you can lose the back end. Those are both two very dangerous endings of your race. This is very much ending it. This is probably ending it, so be careful. And as you can see, as I'm doing, if you see that you're tracking out too much, wait, it was before. If you see that you're tracking out too much, did you see? I just lifted a little bit. Again. Yep. Just lifted. Just a little bit, so the car can get a little bit more of rotation into the turn. Then turn 7, the Marlboro turn. This turn, you get into the turn into 5th. You use this kink here. You can see there's. Let me go back so you can see. No, it crashed again. Ugh. All right, it was 1 minute 34. I'm gonna be super fast this time. I'm super ready. Okay, just crash already. There. This is not really the best player, I think. Okay, 1 minute 34. Yeah, almost too much. All right, so you got this kink here and this kink here. And the apex of the turn, the curb, is basically here. What you want to do is to get into the kink as fast as you can, so just full throttle. Release the gas completely. Throw the car in using the differential, of course, and the weight transfer, of course. Throw the car in, and as soon as you can, as soon as you lock down the line, you open the gas again. So you just want to stay off throttle just the minimum time possible, so that you can just enter the new line and just fly away. So I'm gonna slow down, hoping it won't crash again. You lift and you open again. So you can really use the curb. You can even go maybe here, but don't go too much into it, otherwise you lose the car a little bit. You will have to correct and recover the car, and you will just lose time. So just try to aim for the curb. And a very important thing here is that here on the Marlboro turn, you have to track out correctly. So just don't try to push the car on the inside, because you will probably lose it, or you will do something else that will compromise your exit. Just there's a curb here. Just look at the curb. Don't look at the next turn, because that's early. That would be a mistake. You're still exiting this curb, so keep your eyes onto the curb here until you've tracked out. So you're now tracking out, okay? So you can now start looking at the new turn. the new turn, which is the Renault turn, turn 8. Keep this sign under your view, and you will have to brake pretty much here. Probably even a little bit later than that, just a little bit. But it all depends on the grip available and your ability with the brakes. So you get here and then you brake. What I suggest you to do is to take advantage of the fact that the car is straight on the first part of the braking zone, and then the car will start going to the apex. So if you really have to brake hard, use the first part of the braking zone. Then when you're starting to turn more into the turn, just take it easier and don't try to lose the car, because it might start spinning, you will have to recover it, etc, etc. So there, into second gear, and then as soon as you apex in, I could have even gone a little bit closer. Then you open the gas again and just be very gentle. Use a very light foot here, because you will lose the car otherwise. Be gentle. And another thing that I used to do in the Formula Renault 2.0 was that you used to track out completely till this service road here, and then sorry, I'm being a bit sick, and then you cut across the track to the other side so that you can take the turn 9. It's not possible in this car, or at least I couldn't find a way to make it work without losing a massive amount of time. I actually had to compromise the exit of this turn, so compromising the acceleration in order to get a better entry to this turn. So as you can see, I'm staying a bit more on the inside. Compared to the Formula Renault 2.0, I would have been here and then cutting through all across the road until here. So you stay in the middle, you move to the right, okay, and then you start braking again. This is turn 9, the Vodafone turn, and the problem here is that there are no marks around, so I can't tell you where to brake. The one mark that I'm using is this orange something that it's here. I just look at it and try to establish where I am, thanks to the 3D vision of the VR, of the depth. So, and then I just start gently braking. Actually, I'm slowing down more than braking, and preparing the car for the entry of the corner. Now, with my powerful means, I will show you the flyover video for this turn, because getting to understand what to do and where to turn and what I was doing in this corner, and why sometimes I was faster and why sometimes I was slower, it's been kind of difficult. It's not been easy. So this is the flyover of the turn. Okay, so as you can see, come on, as you can see, I'm touching the apex here. Okay, I've actually tried a lot to delay the apex as much as I could to get a better exit on the straight, but I was losing time overall, so that didn't work for me. I don't know if you can make it work, just try it. It didn't work for me, so I just went back to getting neutral, maybe slightly forward apex. The thing is that I didn't know where the apex was, because if you get to see it from this other side, yeah, where's the apex? You don't have any mark, you don't have any sign on the curb as we had in Suzuka. There's nothing around here. It's an empty space and it's so anonymous. So looking from above here, I noticed there's this grayer, whiter, brighter, let's say, patch of asphalt here. And the geometrical apex should be around here, which is slightly after where this patch of asphalt begins. So going back to this, here it is. So I started trying to look for it into the corner, and as you can see, I'm tracking in exactly at the apex. Now, tracking out, exiting out of this turn is imperative. It has to be done perfectly. You want to have a good exit out of this corner, because you got a straight here. You will be attacked if you're not good. So you have to aim with your sight. Always look where you want the car to be. So the car has to be here where the curb is. You can actually use this curb, but I've seen, at least to me, I was losing too much time trying to get back into the truck, so I don't know how beneficial it is lap time wise. But you have to track out completely from the apex of the turn all the way out till the exit of the turn in a nice smooth way. And this is the only way, the only way to get a good exit and a good time out of this corner, and to defend yourself from the attacks into this straight here, which is short, but it can be deadly, because you get to this point here, which is called, it's the turn 10, it's the Audi S going into turn 11, Hunsrud. And the Audi S is a huge attack zone. I've had so many duels in it, and I think DRS will just make it worse. What you have to do here is just keep it in fifth. I mean, you don't have to put it in sixth until you get the DRS, but I've noticed maybe not even the DRS is enough to get the car in sixth here. So just get three gears down to second, and use this the beginning of the curb here as a braking mark. I've noticed that you have to stop braking just slightly before the beginning of the curbs, and what you want to do is just brake as late as you can to take this curb here. Okay, so you want to get over this curb pretty much aggressively. I'm still trail braking into the apex, and then you push the car into this other turn, which is cambered, but there's a bump here. So when you're exactly starting to accelerate out of the corner, there the bump. Did you see that? I can show that to you again. Bump there. Okay. And that is sneaky, really, because the car will just lose grip. So you either stay all the way inside, or you either delay accelerating until you're off the bump, or otherwise, that's what I found, you head your car into the curb, which is flat, so luckily it won't unsettle the car too much. So you just throw the car onto this outside curb above the bump, and you shouldn't be losing too much traction, but still be careful. And of course, short gearing, so get to third earlier when you're accelerating is still a solution if you want to do it. All right, that was everything. And then we're going into turn 12, which is Kumo turn. And what you want to do is here, at least that's what worked for me, because I kept on having understeering issues trying to even just lift into the turn and get a good speed throughout this turn. So I started old school brush braking, which is kind of difficult to do with this car. It was like an everyday thing with the Formula Renault 2.0. I used to basically drift through the corners most of the time, but with this car, with this much downforce on the back, and especially on a turn as fast as this one with this much downforce, getting the car to drift is not that easy. So what you want to do is, after you start the turn in, you start braking. You don't want to brake, you don't want to slow down, you just want to unsettle the car so the car will turn in nicely. And as you can see, the car now is heading towards the inside. Then you wait, and this exit of the corner here is kind of tricky. You get over the curb, don't accelerate here. At least that's what I found. Just keep the speed high throughout the corner, and you start accelerating when you're off the curb. And when you're out here, it's cambering again, it's twisting again. So you really have to listen to your wheel. When you're opening the gas, you have to be fast, and you have to straighten up the wheel as fast as you can. Listen to the wheel, try to feel the force of the force feedback, trying to bring back the wheel to the left side. I've just noticed that when I wasn't listening to the wheel, I just spun going out of this corner, and you don't want to do that. Of course, you don't want to spin away. So try to listen to the wheel, that it will tell you to move to the outside, and to keep the wheel straight, and then everything will be fine. This turn is kind of easy, and then you get onto the straight that, as we've said before, it's an attack zone. So this was everything for this week. I hope you had a good time. I hope it wasn't too long. This track is actually great. I really much love it. But with this car here, it can be very much a pain in the back. So have fun, stay safe. This week is very much important. And have fun as usual. Bye.